Hey guys, this is topic 4, part 2. Most of you have done the oral component, some of you haven't bothered for reasons I don't understand. But I've put the memo up on the group, and for those of you where I couldn't download your answers, I couldn't mark it physically, but I certainly I marked it in my head and then put the mark as your result and return that to you so you can see where you fell short. I'm going to keep doing things like that because I think we need more practice. I'm also going to do a little tip sheet for you about that as well. Right now, I want us to look at the first three exercises. I'm going to ask you now, when you hand this work in, I actually want smaller pieces of work. So I want the work from page 10. Exercise 1, that is, so exercise 1 from page 10, and then from page 11 I want exercises 2 and 3, but I don't want the compound time one yet. As you can see, I struggle to get all the marking done. I'm now at school where the internet's a little bit better than at home, so I'm able to mark a bit more easily, but I just want exercises 1 to 3 for now, please. And those will be due next Monday. So just upload that. Now, I want us to look at the very first example here, about 4-8 and the time, the grouping. I want to make sure that we've got the grouping right. So here's the rule we're going to use. In 2-4, where you have 4 quavers, you generally do them as 4. And you join them all together. But for 4-8, our rule of thumb is going to be joining as you would in 4-4. Remember, the top number is the most important thing. In 4-8, we have 4 beats in the bar. Many of you fell short in the oral because when you had 4 beats, when you heard 2-4, you wrote down the answer 4-8 as though they're the same thing, but they really aren't, because this has 2 beats in the bar. So you would hear 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. In 4-8, you would hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You would only hear a strong beat every 4, but in 2-4, you would hear it every 2. So these things are not the same, and this is how we're going to deal with the grouping. In 4-8, there are 4 beats. If you look at the example that Josephine Coe gives us, can look a little confusing, the first bar anyway. If I look at the last bar first, there I've got my group of 2 quavers and then 2 quavers. Remember, the rule with grouping is, in 4 at least, that you need to be able to cut down the middle of the bar, and you can do that there. In the second bar, the middle bar, we have the same thing really. The middle of the bar is there. We've got 2 quavers on the one side and 2 quavers on the other side. And then in this first bar, it looks a little bit different, doesn't it? So we're going to talk about this bar. Here, we've got 1 quaver, 1 quaver, and then 1 quaver and 1. These are obviously a rest and a note, so they can't be joined, and they are joined. There's the middle of our bar. But the question then would be, why are these 2 not joined together? Why isn't that 1? So the answer there would be because of the tie between beat 2 and beat 3. What the grouper doesn't want to do is group beat 2 with a tie to beat 3 and then joining that to group 4 or to beat 4. So that's why those beat 3 and beat 4 are separate in that instance. But most of the time, we're going to end up with 2 and then 2. I want to show you another way to draw this, though. That's also possible. You can also do this beam as one thing, put the semiquaver as a double flag, and then put the rest underneath. That's also perfectly acceptable, and I think actually better than the one that's written there. And you will see in B example B that you have to do something just like that. I'm going to help you do B, and then I'd like you to hand in A. Please don't look at your memos. Please don't look at the memos if you have them in the back of your book. Just do the work and try it yourself. So I'm going to do B for you, or with you for a little bit. Let's look at the first bar. I'm going to find my first beat and my second beat, and then I'm going to draw a line down the middle, and then I know that's beat 3 and beat 4. So that will be fairly simple. 1, 2, 3. I'll join those together, and those two are semiquavers. Awesome. And then here I must just watch my flags because I've got demi-semiquavers in this bar, so I've got to make sure I've got enough flags. So I've got a dotted quaver and then 2 demi-semiquavers. Excellent. Next bar, I'm looking for my first beat, and here's my first quaver beat, and here's my second quaver beat. Here's my middle of my bar, and then those two go together. So the beginning of this bar, again, you have the option, and I find it easier to read when you actually beam them together. So you have the option of beaming that rest under the same beam as the quaver, and then for the second half of the bar, just your 2 quavers. Hope that makes sense to you. Here I'm going to find my beat again. Quaver beat, middle of the bar. Cool. Now watch how we beam the demi-semiquavers and the semiquavers all together, but also try to divide and make sure that beats 2 and beat 3 within this are not joined, and it's easier to read. I'm going to show you how right now. So the first beat, like that. There's my semiquaver and my 2 demi-semis. And then the second beat started right there. So I've got my 2 demi-semis and my semiquaver. And leave that gap in the middle, which makes it easier to read ta, 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 ta. Then joining in the middle as well, and then making it into one long thing. Because there we got 4 clear things. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's no joining of 2 and 3. Hope that makes sense as well. Please ask questions, and then your crotchets. So your grouping will take a little bit of time to get used to, probably, especially as you go into compound time. For that reason, I want only exercises 1, 2, and 3 for now. And I'm also going to send you another little oral component, just so that you can start to hear the difference between simple time and compound time. Remember, the bottom number is not as important when you're doing it orally as the top number. It's either 3 beats in a bar, 4 beats in a bar, 2 beats in a bar, or you're in your compound time of 6/8, 12/8, or 9/8. Okay, awesome.